Good morning, good evening, good everything in between. Welcome to the podcast, episode 20. I'm your host, Jim Bobernicki, and I am joined, as always, by Mr. Gabe Lorman. How you doing, Gabe?
I'm a little upset with you, man.
Upset with me? What'd I do?
Well, you delayed us back onto a Thursday, so I've had to sit here holding in my celebration for 2 whole days.
Well, everyone knows. Come on. But yeah, no, you just get to pop for it now. And speaking of somebody who I'm sure is celebrating and also having a great time right now, given that we're on a Thursday, how you doing, Mr. Michael Bewey?
I don't want to talk about it.
Well, unfortunately, you're gonna have to at least a little bit. So
This is a podcast after all. Talking about it is kind of the point.
Yeah, this is your therapy. Look, we've all gone through it. Well, no, not all of us. Gabe hasn't gone through it at all. You and I have had our turns of letting out our frustrations, but we will
just
get
like
to that.
Yeah, we've all been there. No, Gabe was never there. No, he's been
Yeah,
fine all season.
It's
Hey, I
last
repped two
season.
teams, folks.
Yeah, but I mean, look,
They were fourth at one point.
No, I mean, last season the Buffaloes only won the pennant on, I think it was like the last day
A
of the season,
tiebreaker
right?
on the last day.
Yeah. Well, it's the total inverse this season. They've been the
Mhm.
best team in the Pacific League all season long. I mean, pretty much without a doubt. But again, it's the podcast, episode 20. Here we are. And as we are clearly alluding to, the playoff races are coming down to the absolute dead last wire. Seems nobody wants to just win second place or win third place. The Lions are still somehow in it. I don't know how the math works, but if they win out and somehow everyone else loses, again, I don't know how that math works, but I think they might still be winning it. There's only one game separating second and fourth place. And by the time you guys hear this, the audience, the Lions will probably be out of it. But hey, on September 28th, 2023, we're coming right down to the wire. And so let's get right into the show. Gabe, what do you have for milestones with us this week?
A trio of milestones. First off, congratulations to Lotte Marines pitcher Naoya Masuda, who made his 700th mound appearance on Wednesday's game. He is the 18th pitcher to reach the mark in NPB history. And Masuda has not just been a common feature for the Marines, he's also been a damn good one. A career 2.93 ERA with 218 saves and 165 holds. Since Masuda has been the team's closer for the last 5 seasons, he's got a good shot to get to 250 saves in his career. If he does, that gets him into the Meikyukai, one of Japan's 2 halls of fame. The other one is, of course, the Japanese Baseball Hall of Fame, which is election-based. The Meikyukai, or the Golden Players Club, is based on stats accumulated. 2,000 hits, 200 wins, or 250 saves opens the door for you. And a pair of first career home runs on Tuesday the 25th, Fighters catcher Yua Tamiya and Hawks infielder Tomoya Inoue. This is Tamiya's 4th season in the Fighters organization, Inoue's first with SoftBank. Congrats to both of them, and best wishes for a long career in their respective teams.
Yeah, the Meikyukai, that's what it is.
Meikyukai,
right?
yes.
Meikyukai. Do you think we should have that in America, or I
Well,
almost feel like
it'd be interesting
extend.
because that would help get over the whole Hall of Very Good. It would also help erase some of the arguments around the steroid era guys. The question is, where do you set that dividing line? You'll notice I said hits, wins, and saves. There's no home runs, no strikeouts. So I think the inclusion criteria would have to be different.
I almost wonder if the Veterans Committee is almost our answer to that to an extent, in terms of it's like a different sort of voting process to get in the Hall of Fame. So it ends up becoming a little bit more of different criteria. But yeah, anyway, interesting
Justice
thought
for
to
Dave
have.
Steve is basically what I'm getting at.
Yeah, basically, that is kind of what I'm getting at too in a roundabout way. And so, Mike, what do you have for us this week?
So SoftBank legend Nobuhiro Masuda has announced his retirement. That is, I kind of saw it coming, but he's been playing professionally for 17 years, 18 years, 17 with SoftBank, and he's currently been playing 1 year with the Giants over in Tokyo. He was a big part of their 2010 SoftBank dynasty, and he played in 2 World Baseball Classics, won a bunch of Gold Gloves at third, and was just a very important piece to SoftBank for so many years. So,
yes, that's true, and we will get a little bit more into that when we get to my Hawks segment.
I do like his celebration for hitting home runs. The raised fist bump and shouting "Atsu!", which is Japanese for burning. The man is like Japan always has had that taste for the more exuberant celebrations. from Seiya Inoue of the Marines doing a sumo gesture,
Oh,
Brandon Laird delivering sushi to someone, or trying to think who else.
Alex Ramirez having like 30 different celebrations.
Yorokonde gets. Yes, exactly.
It's not quite as exuberant, but Sugimoto, I mean, has this whole like
the Rao.
Yeah, exactly.
The stoic fist raise, yes.
And I love that about Japanese baseball. My most despised thing about American baseball growing up is
Act like you've been there.
Yeah, oh, shut up. God, how about you don't give up a home run?
There.
Get a life. Like, I've always despised
don't like it,
that
pitch
stuff.
better.
Yeah, straight up. Don't like it's to me, it's always been as simple as that. But yeah, I'm happy we don't have that in the Japanese game. Japanese game is everything I love about baseball, a combination of small ball and exuberance and just having fun with baseball while still respecting the traditions. There's a medium ground we can find, and that's what the MPB is, especially the Pacific League. And so let's bring ourselves over to our first ad break of the evening. Take a listen.
Hey, you should be betting on sports. Like right now, open your phone, download an app, and start blowing money on silly wagers. We'll even give you a head start with some quote-unquote free money. Come on, what are you afraid of? Are you a whiny little baby with a dirty diaper? Everyone bets on games now. Your friends' friends, your mom. That's right, your mom bets on sports. How do we know?
Actually, there's no betting on sports in Japan, which means all broadcasts on Pacific League TV are free from the scourge of sportsbook commercials. So you can enjoy baseball without being taunted by the broadcast. Visit PacificLeague.com for more details, or watch Dingo.com for free live games without commentary within North America.
And we're back from the ad break, and we were just talking about what makes Japanese baseball so great. Another thing that makes it so great, none of these intrusive gambling ads on everything. And that brings us to the bulk of today's show and every other show, the Around the Horn segment, where we take a look at all the teams from top to bottom in the league and do a little in-depth analysis. And for, again, probably if I had to guess, I'd say 17th show in a row, we start with the Oryx Buffaloes. Gabe, take it away.
Kana Ubeki Yumeno Saki.
That means literally beyond our wildest dreams. The Oryx Buffaloes are your 3-time Pacific League champions. They are the first team to win 3 straight pennants since the invincible Seibu-era Lions, who won 5 in a row from 1990 to 1994. And the franchise has pulled off the three-peat twice prior, both times as the Hankyu Braves, once in the 60s and once in the mid-70s. The Buffaloes also picked up their 83rd win of the season yesterday, a new high for the franchise since transferring from Hankyu to Oryx back in 1989, I want to say. For a better season, you have to go back to the Braves era, 1956, when they put up 88 wins. Remember what I said about Osaka becoming a Buffaloes town by the end of the decade? They've broken their previous home attendance record with 5 games at home still to play. The previous peak was in 1996, when Ichiro was still drawing crowds to Blue Wave games in Kobe. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, the ace of aces, is only the second pitcher in club history to win 15 games in 3 consecutive seasons, and only the 15th in all of NPB history to do it. The last guy? You might have heard of him, Yu Darvish, from 2007 to 2009. Oh, and Yamamoto's leading all the Triple Crown categories again. He's not the only dominant pitcher for the Buffaloes. Congrats to lefty starter Sachiya Yamasaki for picking up his first double-digit win season. This is Sachiya's 9th year with the Buffaloes, and without a doubt his best, a 3.33 ERA and 80 strikeouts in 124 and 1/3 innings pitched. All of those saves. In years prior, he's been a swingman between the rotation and the bullpen. This year, he stuck it out in the rotation, and he's excelled. Of course, it can't all be good news. The Buffaloes will be without first baseman Yuma Tongu and right-handed starting pitcher Shunpeita Yamashita due to injuries for the rest of the regular season, possibly the postseason too. Tongu's stress fracture in his left leg is particularly concerning. I think that may close the book on his batting title chase. Time will tell.
And speaking of team with someone else in the batting title chase, that brings us over to the second place team for the first time in a very long time, the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks. 3-3 since we last spoke, but hey, that's good enough to vault their way into second place all of a sudden. And here's hoping that they could just hold out for just another week, because we are so close, so close. They just need to not lose the rest of their games, but that might be a bit of a tall order. But hey, let's talk about who's doing well. At the start of the week, Kensuke Kondo led the PL in on-base percentage and slugging, with Yanagita right behind him. Definitely making his case for the MVP. I think the MVP is now basically down to 3 distinct categories. You got, I think, probably the obvious pick, Yamamoto. I wouldn't be upset with that considering how dominant he's been again this season. But again, I always like to pick a position player, and Kondo, for me, has been far and away the best position player this season. You look at his numbers, he's been dominating all year long. He's basically kind of almost single-handedly kept the Hawks in it. Yanagita's not been as good as of late, but Kondo's just been raking in the hits, getting the RBIs in clutch situations, and really performing so far and above what we thought he could do this season. And, I was thinking about it. I was really looking at the stats. I think a bit of a dark horse pick might be Yuki Matsui. I think he's a big reason that the Eagles are even still in it, and he's been so dominant from the closer position. If the Eagles make the playoffs, I think there's a lot of consideration you have to give to Matsui to get into the MVP consideration. But
Man, I don't even remember the last time a closer won the MVP in either league. I'm gonna have to look that
you
up.
want to say either league? I'll tell you, in 2003, Eric Gagne. I can tell you that.
Oh, yeah, of course. Game over. And the pride of Quebec. That I remember.
Hell yeah. Well, there's a reason I know, But as Mike mentioned before, a hearty congratulations and bon voyage to Hawks legend Nobuhiro Matsuda. The veteran third baseman announced his retirement after this season, after spending 1 season with the Giants and the prior 17 seasons with the Hawks. He is one of the all-time greats in Hawks history, 10-time All-Star, 8-time Gold Glove winner, Best 9 in 2018, and a Japan Series MVP in 2019. And to go along with that, he's got 7 Japan Series rings. Internationally, he's won a pair of bronzes at the World Baseball Classic and the gold in 2019 Premier 12. He finishes his career with 301 home runs, 991 RBIs, and a whopping 1,832 hits. And as we mentioned before, he's got one of the all-time great home run celebrations, pumping his fist and shouting, "Atsuo!" So the Hawks will miss him, and the character, well, he is already gone, that being said, but I think all of MPB will miss him. But you know who isn't calling it a career? Dr. K himself, Tsuyoshi Wada. Ishin Sports reporting that the SoftBank veteran has renewed his contract, and the 42-year-old lefty is coming back for yet another season. His 2023 season's been pretty good. He's gone 94 innings with 79 Ks and a 3.34 ERA. That's good under normal circumstances, let alone from a 42-year-old. And last week, he had a beautiful, slick performance, striking out 8 in a win against the Marines. That was hugely instrumental in getting the Hawks to where they are right now in second place. He is the last remaining player from the Daiei Hawks era at MPB. And some other guys on that roster, they're coaches now, like Tadahito Iguchi and Kenji Jojima, one of also my sort of sideline personal favorite players. But my God, he's been coaching for years now. He's like, it's crazy to me that Wada is still pitching at this level. And but we do still have one guy playing indie ball, Munenori Kawasaki.
Yeah, us Blue Jays fans remember him well. As long as Kawasaki's still playing baseball, baseball is better for it.
Yeah,
I had to double check. I was incorrect. There have been 2 Pacific League MVP winners as relievers. One of which was the legend Yutaka Enatsu, who picked up 25 saves and a 2.82 ERA for the Fighters in 1981, in which they won the Japan Series and the pennant that year. And the other one, Mike, I'm surprised you didn't call me on it. 2017, the Hawks closer, the guy who set the single season saves record, Dennis Sarfate. Of course he won MVP.
Right.
It came to mind, but I just wasn't certain about it, and I didn't want to Google it. But it did come to mind. And I was like, wait, am I thinking Japan Series MVP?
No, season MVP. And yeah, Sarfate with a 1.09 ERA and 54 saves in 66 appearances.
I mean, with all those Hawks, with all the Japan series wins and all the MVPs mixed in there, it's definitely totally understandable that you can mix that up. But so that brings us over to the end of the Hawks news and over to the third place team in the Pacific League, a team that if you asked me a month or two ago if they were going to make the playoffs, I would have told you there's no way, but here they are sitting in third, the Tohoku Rakuten Golden Eagles. Take it away, Mike.
Act happy about the sorry, reading my notes, excuse me. It's on my hand if you're wondering. As of right now, they have a playoff spot. They have fought their way into third place, fell down to fourth, and fought their way back to third. And they have not looked good doing it with a 67-68 record against all odds. They have managed to delay their rise until the final weeks of the season, despite literally every Pacific League team going out of their way to hand them wins and shove them to a playoff spot. If you go back and look at several previous podcasts, it's like, oh, they have an easy schedule coming up. They have an easy schedule coming up. They have an easy scheduling coming up, and they just fumbled it every single time. Of course, directly after we talked about him, Tanaka goes out and pitches a gem. We talked about how as bad as season was, and he goes out and what did he do? He gave up like one run and like 8 strikeouts and went like 7 innings or something like that.
Yeah,
6
it
innings.
was a proper vintage Tanaka start. Yeah, he got I think it was 8 strikeouts with 1 earned run and like 5 hits or something like that. But yeah, proper game.
So once again, they listen to the podcast. They have the team translators on staff to transcribe it, and they just do the opposite of what we say. It keeps happening. I've got no explanation for it. 6-4 in their last 10. Compare that to 2-8 for Lotte. So it's no wonder they're in a better postseason position right now. And the offense is up all around. Probably still has to do with that batting coach change from months ago, but things are looking up for them right now. But there's not much less, and they have like a half game lead or something like that.
It is a half game over the Marines. Yeah.
Second, third, and fourth can change at any point these next couple days.
Yeah. In fact, I think my hubris and being so excited about the Hawks will lead to some sort of configuration where they end up below the Lions somehow.
It just makes this Sunday's midnight matinee that much more meaningful. The Marines are hosting the Lions with a playoff spot on the line. Depending on when this broadcast gets released, it may have already happened. Check the live tab here on the channel to see if that's either happened or is going to be happening. Either way, tune in. We're all going to be loopy. It's going to be great.
It's going to be. I think it's going to be the best game of the season. I can't wait, man. And so, speaking of that game we have coming up this weekend, there's a certain Chiba baseball club that will be involved, and that team is now in 4th place. Though, as we said, they are just a half game behind the Eagles. The Chiba Lady Marines, once again, take it away, Mike. Take it away, Mike. Mike? Wait, what? You just did the Eagles. Where, Mike?
It's over. It's so over. It's Jover. It's never been more Jover. We'll never be back again. Is this what failure feels like? It's over. It'll never not be over. Lads, I feel that we'll never be back again. Pros, what do we do? How do you strike out 8 times against an AARP member? He's 45! Every night I feel my leg, my arm, even my fingers. The pennants I've lost, the postseasons I've lost, won't stop hurting. Hey, do you remember that one time you woke up really early to watch a game only to see the pitcher give up 8 runs on 7 pitches? I remember. Number 9.
Mike, snap out of it. We can't have you spiraling on our podcast. Save it for afterwards, okay?
What happened?
You're in a lucid state.
I think your inner monologue became outer for like a solid 30 seconds.
Oh, yeah, that happens. That wasn't even everything I have for the Marines, though. Now that you're done invading my mind. My mind's done invading your mind. I don't know how it works. But for the Marines, it's like watching a team that has given up right now. Just everything they do seems so sluggish right now, from the defense to the hitting to the pitching. They were in a perfect place all season, and it's just, I don't have an explanation for it. I don't think anybody has one. They're 2-8 in their last 10. I swear every time I look at the standings, it says they're 2-8, 3-7, something below 500. Polanco is having a career year NPB wise, and it's just going to waste by all means. When SoftBank comes knocking in the offseason, just take him, put him on a team that will do something. Or Oryx, he could demolish 50 baseballs a year in
Oh man,
Joe
if he ended up in Oryx, that would be such overkill.
Oh my God, they'd be bouncing off that fence out in the upper seats.
Yeah,
As it
seriously.
stands right now for the month of September, the Marines are 6-16.
Why? Why did you have to say that? Sasaki was pitching like crazy before his injury. He comes back from the blister, pitches like crazy again. He goes down with an oblique injury, comes back, and he's not even the same pitcher anymore. Did he come back too early? Why did he have a farm start? Did he face live pitching? I know he was throwing bullpens. Did he face live BP? I mean, it seems like he came back way too early. Why did he not have a rehab start? I don't know. Only Masato Yoshi knows. I don't get it. Blah 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 blah. They were going to lose to Oryx anyway. Yeah, whatever. They were in third when they won it in 2010, so weirder things have happened. I don't know. It's confusing. It's annoying. Losing 9-2 to the Fighters, a team they should be able to handle. Yes, the Fighters have a bright future, but they're a last place team, and you should be able to handle a last place team. As a team vying for a playoff spot, as a team trying to remain out of fourth place, you should be able to handle them. I mean, even if you lose, at least lose like 3-2. Don't lose 9-2. Especially Tanaichi. He's been good for the Marines all year, and then now that happens. I don't know. There
was a moment where you like went fully Philly sports fan. You realize
I always do that.
The bile just came out.
It's like it's in his blood,
It's a very negative place, I tell you. But they've had chances to create more space for themselves in the standings, and it's just not happened each time. It's like what I was saying with Rakuten. Like, oh, they have an easy schedule. They're playing X, Y, and Z. And then it's like, oh, they lost 2 to X. They lost 2 to Y. They lost 2 to Z. Oh, now they're approaching the 500 mark. I don't know. Go back and listen to old podcasts when you hear me talk about the offensive stat leaders for the team and just how low they are.
Yeah.
Hey, Polanco's
like
tied in a 3-way tie for the Pacific League home run
He's
lead with
literally
Manami and
the
Asamuda.
only person pulling his weight right now offensively.
What's going on with the ball? Like, is there just a power drain this year? That's kind of weird to me too.
Yeah, there's been comments around that there may be a bit of a mush ball in Japanese baseball right now. I don't know. Not my place to say, but
it's just
didn't used to be this way. The last time the pitchers were this good, the Major League Baseball organizations lowered the mound.
Lower the mound again. No mound, they're just on dirt.
Make it a sand trap.
And I see some people online going off on Brasso. I can't go off on Brasso because he's a first-year foreign import that just showed up in the middle of the season.
Yeah,
it's
like
very
he showed
difficult.
Up not even the middle of the season. Remember he like came in the middle of the night. Like it was like he was like
mid-game,
smuggled it. Yeah. It was like literal midnight signing at the
didn't even
the
get
deadline.
Didn't even get like a farm at bat. Just here you go. Here's a uniform. Go out there. So it's like when he's going like 0 for 4, it's like, well, he's not really set up for success. It's not his fault. I mean, if he comes back next year, I expect him to be way better. But I don't know. I'm just very, 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 very negative. But remember, still love Marines. Except the new theme song. Don't like that one.
It's interesting when you brought up Sasaki. Yeah, it is actually weird that they did kind of seem to rush him back, and I guess it is probably because of the circumstances they find themselves in, being in such a tight playoff race. But hopefully, maybe.
And I don't know him and don't know for certain, but he seems like the kind of pitcher where, like, if he's not ready to come back, he's just gonna be like, "Yeah, I'm ready to come back. I want to be there for my team."
Yeah, there is that. And there is also, though, I think you've commented on this a lot throughout the season, and I've noticed it too whenever I see him pitch. I mean, he's great, obviously, but he does seem a little, and it's probably a bit of an age thing. He's a bit volatile. You know what I mean?
He also gets frazzled by bad calls.
That's what I'm saying. When he doesn't get his calls, he doesn't like it, and for all we know, maybe that's like really affecting his game right now. Now, and hopefully,
to be fair, they've been some bad calls. But...
yeah, for sure. But hopefully, maybe if we're really lucky, I'm talking like infinite, like maybe we'll get to call his game on Sunday. If he pitches on Sunday and we all get to call his game, that would be a beautiful way to end the season. Even if in theory it's not a great game by him, it would be a real treat to get to call a Roki Sasaki game.
And the funny thing is, just to wrap it up with Sasaki, we're still talking as if he's not like 22.
Yeah, no, yeah. No,
He
he's
go
so
up.
young. He's got so much room. Yeah,
It's
it's
like
crazy.
you forget that he's like, basically a toddler in baseball terms. But
Actually, wait, like, is he 22? I feel like he's even younger, but I may be wrong.
he could be 21.
Rookie Sasaki, he's
He's
21. God,
Yeah.
Jesus,
He turns 22 November 3rd.
what a monster! God.
Yep.
Anyway, so that brings us over to the fifth place team, a team that is not going down with or what's the word? I was gonna say not going down without a fight, but that's not it. They are definitely doing their best to make the playoff race as interesting as possible. The Saitama Seibu Lions, 5-2 since we last spoke. They're going on a bit of a tear, and they're not going down without a fight. And hey, those only two losses came against the Buffaloes, which is, I mean, everyone's losses at this point. It doesn't even matter, you know? So I've got a bit of faith in them. Like I said, if they can just somehow win out. Now, here's the tricky thing for me. They play the Hawks this weekend. So if they beat the Hawks, I'm also in a bad position. But I would love to see some sort of configuration where it's both the Hawks and Lions making it. But it's, I think literally mathematically impossible for both those things to happen. But still, nonetheless, I'm having a great time following the team at this point. I love a team that goes down and tries to come back up. You know, I like the Browns in the NFL. I mean, that says a lot, right? But as far as Lions go, a little shout out to David McKinnon, who had himself a great night last week, blasting 2 home runs for 5 RBIs and a big win against the Eagles. That kept the playoff hopes alive. And as usual, the starting pitching, I can't even begin to like if I was to highlight all the starting pitching performances, I'd just be here for like another 5 minutes. The starting pitching is just going for it right now. They are just propelling the team to big wins as the bats are just eking out enough to get through. Again, the bullpen is, as usual, a little bit of a problem, though. Brooks Skriski got himself out of a bases loaded situation the other day against, I believe it was the Eagles. It doesn't really matter that much. The important thing is that they won. And one little thing to close out on the Seibu news segment via GG.com. So the Seibu Group president, Takashi Goto, said in an interview at the Balloon Dome on Wednesday that he will keep Kazuo Matsui as manager for next season. He also said the club did their best, and even if they don't make the playoffs this year, they will carry those efforts on into next year. I feel like because we're finishing the season on such a strong note, even though it definitely hasn't gone the way they wanted to, there is a sense of hope going on in Seibu right now. And hey, even if they don't make it, next year is going to be a lot better for them, I think.
David McKinnon for Golden Glove at first base. He has been sensational over there defensively. And maybe that's the way to rebuild the Lions, to focus on small ball defensive fundamentals. You have the best middle infield in all of Japanese baseball with Tonosaki and Genda from a defensive perspective. Go get a hands first third baseman, a hands first center fielder. Maybe Manaya Nishikawa is that. I think you could really make a case for that being how you win games and how you win titles.
Defense, I mean, I know the defense wins championships is like a football adage, but it's definitely important in baseball too. And before we wrap up, let's get it over to the last place team, the only team that's been mathematically eliminated, but they are still doing their part in making these playoffs interesting by beating teams out of nowhere. The Hokkaido Nippon Ham Fighters. Take it away, Gabe.
Unbothered and smooth-skinned. Yeah, I mean, it's fun to be the role of spoiler. The Hokkaido Nippon Ham Fighters will finish in last place for consecutive seasons for the first time in 48 years. It is what it is. That said, no change at the helm expected. Tsuyoshi Shinjo was confirmed to remain as Fighters manager for 2024. In his words, if I don't show results next season, I'm prepared to take off this uniform. I mean, hopefully not in public on the field, but I wouldn't put that past Big Boss. Maybe on our OnlyFans page. I don't know.
Maybe he will do it in public. Maybe I'll get what I want out of this deal. You never know.
Hey, it's not all bad news. Takuya Nakashima, the Fighters shortstop, stole his 200th career base on the 22nd. He's now the 79th player in NPB history to reach the mark. The 32-year-old has been with the Fighters since 2009 and earned Best 9 and All-Star nods at shortstop for the Shohei Ohtani era teams. A hearty bon voyage to Ryota Yachi, who hung up the cleats after September 27th game against the Marines at Escon Field, Hokkaido. The 32-year-old played his first 6 seasons with the Swallows and has been a Fighter since 2019. He saw the most action last season, putting up a 268, 309, 346 slash line in 78 games. And in his retirement game, played 5 different positions, one in each of the first 5 innings: third base, first base, second base, shortstop, and in right field with an infielder's glove. He even picked up an RBI single before being benched.
That's pretty cool. I like when teams, it is the kind of season where things are kind of over. Might as well give some ceremonial kind of niceties to players like that. That's really cool.
I've seen someone try to do all 9 positions in a retirement game, including catching and pitching.
Oh, sorry, quick aside. I saw somebody try to play all 11 positions in a football game in his last game. That was fun, back when I played high school football.
That I can believe.
And so before we wrap up the show, we're going to have a quick another little ad break. Take a listen. And unfortunately, that brings us to the end of today's show because I made a mistake and didn't record the last bit there. Very sorry to everyone about that, and especially sorry to Gabe and Mike. But we will come back next week, obviously, with a full show, and just stay tuned for our questions next week. So thanks for listening. Take care.